consider myself to be an optimistic person, right? But I also get the realities of life and where things are headed. But Bitcoin and AI are two very disruptive technologies that I believe will benefit humanity for the better, right? Bitcoin, we're now able to store our savings in a currency that has a fixed supply, and the purchasing power of that currency will continue to grow the longer we hold it. And AI is enabling us to be more productive day to day. So if a young person, or if I were 20 years old and they ask me what should I be focused on, I will let them know, make sure regardless whether you're working at Target, whether you're working at AutoZone or Regal or AMC movie theater, to just save any surplus money that you have, save it in Bitcoin, and make sure no matter what job you have, you're learning how to use AI to be more productive. You're actively using it on a day-to-day basis and putting in prompts to figure out how can you make AI help you be more productive in the things that you want to do. And what gives me hope about the future as well is that young people are getting this regarding Bitcoin. Millennials are 5 times as likely as older adults to say Bitcoin is the best way to save for the future. Let's read a little bit of the story. The future of Bitcoin remains a topic of hot debate, but young people are significantly more likely to trust the cryptocurrency than older counterparts. That's according to a new survey from Bankrate, which found that 5% of millennials, defined in this case as those aged 18 to 37, say Bitcoin is the best place to put money they won't need for 10 years or more. Keep that in mind. The time horizon is long. 10 years or more is definitely a good move. Only 1.2% of Gen Xers ages 38 to 53 favor it for long-term savings, and less than 1% of boomers ages 54 to 72 do. And what's great about this beat here is that young people get it. As long as they're saving in Bitcoin and their time horizon is long, then your purchasing power will continue to grow, right? So just look at this here, just as a reminder. Bitcoin today is 115,405 US dollars. It's up so far 23.48%. Over the last year, Bitcoin is up 106.95%. And over the last 5 years, Bitcoin is up 880%. Now, I would say these are pretty good numbers, right? So if you're a young person over the last 5 years, you're working at Target and you're able to save $500 a month. That money will have grown significantly over the last 5 years. That money would have grown quite a bit over the last year, and year to day, if you just save your money in Bitcoin, that money would have grown about 24%. So it's really cool to see that young people are figuring this out because they have a longer time horizon. And obviously, they are grasping the technological shift of Bitcoin and AI, right? So what's another interesting story that gave me hope about young folks is this post from a recent USC graduate. Now let's read it. I just graduated from USC. I now have a bachelor's in business economics and a master's in marketing, where I took over 42 units of finance and economics courses. And still, none of those courses taught me what I learned on my own. No class explained the truth about the broken system we live in. It was brushed off. I found that through late nights and early mornings studying Bitcoin, questioning fiat, and questioning everything I had ever been taught about economics, realizing the financial world is built on sinking sand. Reading Broken Money by Lynn Alden built the foundation. Reading The Bitcoin Standard and Principles of Economics by Safedine connected the dots. The Big Print by Lawrence Lepard lit the fire. Jack Mahler's podcast helped me put words to what I was feeling: rage, urgency, hope, and purpose. And hearing Adam O'Brien talk about Bitcoin as a way to protect his kids' future made me realize I want that too. Bitcoin gave me clarity. It gave me hope. Choosing Bitcoin isn't about wealth. It's about building something real for my future family. It's the hardest money there is, one that comes with strong conviction. I'm making my decision now to become someone my future kids will be proud of and grateful for. A decision to reject comfort, to choose discipline over dopamine. I don't want to waste my 20s watching Love Island, mindlessly scrolling TikTok, or watching football each week. I want to understand the truth behind financial markets and why the system is built to keep us dependent. I want to see through all the noise, stack sats, build conviction, become unshakable, and tell the story of sound money. I'm not like the rest of my generation, and I'm okay with that. Kudos, kudos, kudos to this young lady for this amazing, amazing post. So all of this really makes me see and believe that we're all figuring things out slowly but surely. People are understanding that the financial system is built on sand, and they're opting out of that system by putting their time and energy and their savings into Bitcoin. So now let's talk a little bit about how AI is being disruptive and how to be mindful of how you use AI. I saw this post a while back. You're not chatting with AI, you're feeding it. And this is the kind of data that a lot of these AI companies collect that I want you to keep in mind. Gemini, Claude, Copilot, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Grok. They each have a score, and I'll link to this in the video description notes below, but they each have a score of how much data that they are logging from your prompts. So I'm bringing this up to say that I definitely want to make sure you're using private AI. And there's a reason for that that I'll get into in this next clip, because all of the inputs that you're putting into these public AI companies like ChatGPT, they can and will be used against you in the court of law, so to speak. Now let's play this clip from this video.
Certainly need a legal or a policy framework for AI. Um, One example that we've been thinking about a lot, this is like maybe not quite what you're asking. This is like a very human-centric version of that question. People talk about the most personal shit in their lives to ChatGPT. It's, people use it, young people especially, like use it as a therapist, a life coach, having these relationship problems. What should I do? And right now, if you talk to a therapist or a lawyer or a doctor about those problems, there's like legal privilege for it. Like there's doctor-patient confidentiality, there's legal confidentiality, whatever. And we haven't figured that out yet for when you talk to ChatGPT. So if you go talk to ChatGPT about your most sensitive stuff and then there's like a lawsuit or whatever, like we could be required to produce that. And I think that's very screwed up. I think we should have like the same concept of privacy for your conversations with AI that we do with a therapist or whatever. And no one had to think about that even a year ago. And now I think it's this huge issue of like, how are we going to treat the laws around this?
Well, do you think there should be like kind of like a slowing things down before we move there kind of? Because yeah, that is kind of wild. It's one of the reasons I get scared sometimes to use certain AI stuff because I don't know how much personal information I want to put in because I don't know who's going to have it.
I think we need this point addressed with some urgency. And the policymakers I've talked to about it like broadly agree. It's new and now we got to do it quickly. Do you talk to ChatGPT?
I don't talk to it that much.
Because of this?
I think it is. It's because it's like
I think it makes sense.
To not talk to ChatGPT because
No. To like really want the privacy clarity before you use it a lot.
Yeah.
So that clip is I found that very interesting because, these tech companies, and that was from ChatGPT, the CEO, Sam Altman, these tech companies tried to make it seem like we need policy, we need the government to intervene to create these standards of privacy. But we have to remember we are giving our data to a large company. And again, I don't want to say that there's nothing wrong with that because ChatGPT and Grok and these AI models, they are really great at what they do. But I want to enforce to also, there is a way to use private AI so that you can have the ability to say the thing that you need. And these private AIs, they're open source. So that code is available to the public to audit, and it has been audited. And you're able to know that, hey, if I put these sensitive prompts in these private AIs, that conversation is between me and no one else. No one else has any awareness of what you're saying to the AI. So these are two of the companies I feel you should look at, two of the AI models that are completely private. One of them is Maple, and that's private AI chat that's truly secure. We don't need government policy to enable this to use Maple. You can just use it. They have a few prompts that you can use for free. And in terms of the pricing, if you did want to pay for it, you can have the pro feature at $20 per month. And if you wanted even more privacy, you could pay with Bitcoin. And there's also Venice. Venice is another private AI that you can put in these prompts and know that the conversation is between you and no one else has a back door into your conversation. All of these private AI models are open source and you can verify the code yourself. You don't need to ask anyone's permission to use these AIs. But again, Grok, ChatGPT, they are really great at what they do. And I'm not saying to not use these. I'm just saying be mindful with the data that you're putting in and know that, hey, if you have medical records, if you want to do something with your taxes, if you want your AI to be your financial advisor and help you how to navigate to pay certain bills or do things like that, or how to budget, you're able to use apps like Venice and you're able to use AI chats like Maple and have that privacy. So you can have a bucket of being able to use ChatGPT or Grok and put in these certain inputs and know that, hey, these inputs that I'm putting in, these prompts, they're going to be associated with my identity and be okay with that. But if you want to have a more private chat where you don't have to feel like, oh, I have to like censor myself because I don't want to say anything wrong and people connected to my identity or whatever, then you actually have the option with Venice and you have the option with Maple. And I'm not getting paid by any of these companies. These are companies and AI chats that I use myself personally, and I think it's really great. But the fact that we have these available to us to make us more productive gives me hope when you're using AI on a day-to-day basis to make yourself more productive, and then you're saving those productivity gains with the money that you're making by excelling at the things that you do. You're saving that in Bitcoin. That creates such a positive reinforcement that makes me hopeful for the future. And again, I know AI is a very disruptive technology. It's going to take jobs. And at the end of the day, I'm all for the free market. People will choose the best thing for their time and energy. I went to Seattle a couple years ago, and there was this the Amazon grocery store, and I remember it was big in the news because there was no cashiers there. And I was able to scan my barcode, go into the grocery store, and it's associated with my account. And then I just grabbed whatever I needed, and then I walked out, and my card would get billed. Now that is great. And I get that it's disrupting technology in terms of and jobs in terms of cashiers, people not needing them. But at the end of the day, if that's a positive thing for humanity and is worth our time and energy, humans will choose the better option. Today, if I want to fly to Georgia, I'm not going to get on a horse, right? I'm going to get on a plane. So there are better ways to do things, and humans will naturally choose that at the end of the day because society is supposed to get more productive. Things are supposed to get easier for us, but the key is things shouldn't get more expensive. That's the key, and that's due to money printing. So as we opt out of the money printing and save in Bitcoin, our purchasing power will grow and things will get cheaper for us, and we're able to be more productive with the AIs that we're using for our jobs, right? So I can see a future where you can work less, but you have the purchasing power of your savings grow with Bitcoin. So your groceries, everything that you need in life, your car, everything will begin to cost you less as we're able to be more productive in the future. So I hope that video was helpful. Definitely make sure if you're using ChatGPT, if you're using Grok, if you're using Google AI or Gemini or whatever it's called, it's fine to use them, but just be mindful of the prompts that you put in because they're all associated with your identity. Again, if you want privacy, you have that ability with Maple AI and you have that ability with Venice. And I will link to both of these and definitely give them a try when you have a moment and just try both. So with that said, definitely like this video, subscribe. I will do one video at least every week. And with that said, keep asking questions, keep stacking sats, and I'll catch you on the next one.